Good afternoon, everybody. Firstly, may I welcome the Honourable Minister for Carriacou and Pidimaka Affairs, Mr. Tevin Andrews. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you all very much for coming out this afternoon to celebrate the life of Dr. Paparapati Krishna Rao Rama Rao, also known to most of us as Dr. Ram. First, can I apologize for the late start this afternoon? I hope you'll bear with us. In true Caribbean style, of course, we had to make sure that we were slightly late. And I'm reliably informed that Indian style is even later. So we're just following type this afternoon. As you'll be aware, or you may be aware, a private cremation was held for Dr. Ram last week, Tuesday. We have him with us here in spirit and his ashes. And so today really is just a celebration of his life with those who loved him the most and those who are with us in spirit and also remotely. I should have said, my name is Ayana. I am the wife of Suresh and Dr. Ram's daughter-in-law, known to him as the big-eyed girl. And it's a name I'll forever hold in my heart, and nobody else is allowed to call me that. To start today's, just to let you know the proceedings for today, I'm shortly going to invite Ramesh, Dr. Ram's eldest son, to come and offer an invocation, followed by, he will read some written tributes sent in from family members who are unable to attend today. I'll then invite anybody from the floor who would like to offer a tribute to come up here and offer your tribute in front of your friends and colleagues, followed by a poem selected by Bridget, Dr. Ram's wife, that I will read on her behalf, and then Suresh, Dr. Ram's youngest son, will offer the eulogy. Can I please offer apologies on behalf of Bridget, who was unable to attend today. She very much regrets being unable to attend, but she sends her love to you all and her thanks to you all for coming out this afternoon. Without further ado, could I invite Ramesh to come and read the invocation and tributes.
Evening, everyone. Feel no guilt in laughter. He knows how much you care. Feel no sorrow in a smile. That he's not here to share. Cannot grieve forever. He would not want you to. He'd hope that you can carry on the way that you always do. So talk about the good times. The way you showed, the way you cared. The days you spent together with all the happiness you shared. For if you keep these moments, you will never be apart, and you will live forever, locked safe within your heart. That was for Dad. This is going to be really difficult. It's hard when someone who is so close to you, when you lose them. Someone who your entire identity has been linked to them. It's super difficult. For his friends who couldn't make it and his family, they've asked me to say a few things for you guys. Thank you. Maybe I wanted to keep the tears. From his family in India who loved him so dearly, who he loved so much. We, the brothers and sisters of Dr. P.K. Rama Rao, join together in deep remembrance and prayer as our beloved brother is honored in a memorial service conducted by our dear nephews today. Rama was more than a brother to all of us. He was a friend, a guide, a source of endless warmth. His kindness and affectionate nature and his gentle humor brightened every conversation. It brought joy to all who knew him. Through far and away, from us in India, his heart never left his family. In times of need, his support was always there. quiet, steady, and always full of love. We have performed all of the sacred Hindu rituals in Krishnagiri, Tamil Nadu, place where he was born, to honor his soul. And today, we're here to join in prayer, praying that Lord Vishnu to bless him with eternal peace in Vaikuntha, the divine abode. His memory will live in our hearts, and his love will continue to guide us in the years to come. From one of his really close friends in India, Mr. Tirupati, he says that Ram's passing is deeply personal loss to him. And they shared an extremely close bond that began decades ago, which they fostered through his younger brother, Raghavan. Over the years, it grew into something extremely special. They effectively became brothers. Whenever he visited India, we would spend long evenings together, often playing cards filled with laughter and light-hearted banter. I still remember vividly the day he visited our garden in Krishnagiri with his wife and two lovely children. It was a joyful day. They delighted in the greenery and calm. Our family still treasures those beautiful memories. Ram was a person of warmth and kindness, one whom no one could dislike, and I truly wonder if I would ever find such a wonderful friend again in my life. I doubt it. He's in his 80s. That's not going to happen. My heartfelt condolences to his wife, his children, and all who were close to him. My family and I pray that his noble soul rests in eternal peace. And from his really good friend, Dr. Suba Rao, who couldn't make it today. Suba has been a part of our lives since we were kids. He is saddened by Daddy's demise, and Ram was his mentor and friend. He was venerated for his service in Grenada, particularly in Carriacou and Petit Martinique. He became part of the fabric of the islands where he served with compassion and love, and he salutes him, and he dearly misses his friend. For me and Susu, I think it's a little bit different. We grew up as some of the luckiest kids on this island because of Daddy. We had the most aunties and uncles of anybody. Uncle Theo, Uncle Martin, Auntie G, there's Tanty Lizzie. We always felt like part of this island, and it's because of Daddy. And when I came here, I don't know if it'll be the same, but I just want to thank him for everything he has done, and for blessing us with being able to grow up here. And that's it. Anything else? Thank you guys.
Thank you, Ramesh. The floor is now open if anybody else would like to offer a tribute. I'm looking, first up we have Satish and Harry, Dr. Ram's nephews from New York.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Hari. I'm the third child of PK's older brother, and this is my older brother Satish. And we really appreciate all of you showing up here to share your love and warmth for Dr. PK and his family and all of us here. This is also especially very difficult for me because I was also dubbed as the favorite nephew. My brother here would grudgingly agree to that, so most of the times we end up disagreeing, but this is one thing that he would agree with me. And all of the family back home, my dad, they both were very close growing up together. And the rest of the family wish they could be here, but we're glad to be here on behalf of all of them. We also called PK Chikappa. In our vernacular, that literally translates to smaller or younger dad. And that's exactly what he was to us. And he saw us as his own boys as well. So our bond goes even before we were born. PK was so fond of my brother that there's no one in the world that wished him better than PK. it is tremendously great to see some love being shared with them. While I'm standing next to my brother, I've got my two brothers here, Ramesh and Susu, to see the love that they exchanged and to see the admiration that they had for each other touches all of us and will continue to touch us moving forward. So growing up, one of my earliest memories of PK was when he showed up to India. And this is when he, for the first time in our family, he bought a car for the family because we didn't have a car and he had an ailing father, so he didn't want his dad to struggle. So he came to India, bought a car, and came over to our house at, I would think, 1 a.m. In the morning. As a kid, I'd never seen 1 a.m. until then. So he woke me up. He said, "Do you want to go for a ride?" No one's ever asked me that because until then I'd never broken a rule. I was probably about this tall. So the moment he said, "Do you want to hop on a car?" I said, "Let's go." And then he took me for a spin in the new car, put me in the front seat, asked me if I wanted to drive, and never forgotten that. So I can credit him for helping me learn how to break rules. And I've done plenty of those. And one of the next times I did that as well, coincidentally, he was also again back in India. And this is when I had the pleasure of Ramesh, Susu, and Bridget Chikama showing up to India. And I would go to school, as any good kid, come back at 4 o'clock. And PK's clock was always different than any of us. And I've seen him both here in this time zone, and I've seen him in, far away in other time zones. His time zone was always, it was not a conception for him about time zone. So he would wake up at 4 or 5 p.m. in India. And then that's when he would shower, he would get ready, and that's when his day started. And then he would always have a bunch of people around him when he's sharing stories. He was a fantastic storyteller. He always had a knack of, bringing people together. And if you hang out with him long enough, a lot of those stories will repeat. I'm sure you've, heard those as well. But it was always so much fun to listen to it every single time, even though you've heard it 20, 30 times. So he would start his storytelling at 5, 6 in the evening. And then this would go on until 12, 1 in the morning. And once again, for the second time, I had the permission to stay up with my uncle because he was in town for only a few days. I would stay up till 1 a.m., then wake up at 7 to go to school. And this repeated for many days until they left, India. So again, as a kid, you're not usually part of the adult conversations, right? You're not part of, when, older people are speaking because kids, we were always playing in the corner. He would always make it a point to bring us into the conversation, always share stories with us, ask us what do we think, how do we think about this, and share a joke and, enjoy when we laughed. So to actually experience, for the first time again, for a young kid growing up in India, to have an elderly, older person that can appreciate a kid's company, I'd never seen that again in the past. So once again, things that he showed us, things that he brought, the joys that he brought to all of us, even as kids. I have so many stories that I can keep going. One of the things that always stood out, and I recall this, from my dad, who shared numerous stories with me as well, that in India, when you're a physician or a doctor, it's an exalted place because there's only few of them that actually graduate and become doctors, or at least back in the day. So this is a story my dad fondly recalls. He shared this with Susu recently as well, where as a physician, you're moving around in physician circles, and he made friends with a male nursing officer in the same hospital. And when they met 2 years later, the male nursing officer didn't even recognize PK, but PK recognized him, went up to him and talked to him and embraced him, shared, and asked him about how his family was. And many years after PK left India, my dad met the nursing officer and he was in tears, talking about how a physician would respect him and come to him and talk to him and treat him like family and knew his family and his kid's name. that he had never experienced with any of the physicians that he ever worked with. He said, "I've never seen a man like this come to me and respect me for who I am as a person. Not for what I did, not for what I didn't do, but truly treat me and see me as a human, as another person." I don't know if that person is alive anymore. I haven't checked with my dad. But this happened many, many years after PK left. So we're always in awe of stories that we hear about what he did and how he stood up for values, for morals, and for principles. And, he did all of that by also making the world and the company of him very enjoyable as well. It was always about sharing the good laughter. Some of the jokes may not be as funny, but when he starts laughing in his raspy voice, you'll start partaking in the fun as well, because you cannot contain that joy. You cannot contain and see the warmth in his humor. So we'll miss all of that. But today is truly a celebration of his life and the legacy and what he's lived in a way that has touched all of us. Growing up in a post-colonial Indian society and growing up there in the 50s, 60s, and 70s, with what he had accomplished growing up there and being a renowned physician, being well respected and admired by his colleagues, just that life in itself is a fully lived, wholesome life that people could look back in a lot of joy and admiration. But he didn't stop there. He actually moved here and he built a family here. He loved the island. He loved the place like no one else did. And for him to actually have done it twice, to come here and be part of the islands, and for all of you to show up here and to share your love, if someone had done just one of those, they've lived a wonderful life. And PK did that twice. And that to me, is something worthy of, celebrating today. And he would want nothing but all of us to share those moments of joy and happiness. So once again, we thank you all for being here. While we all miss him dearly, we'll continue to celebrate the life and the way he touched all of us. He wouldn't want anything other than that. And we will all miss him, but thank you all.
I'll just share a quick anecdote from my own life where PK wasn't even, actually I'm not going to call him that, it feels awkward. I'm going to just refer to him as Chikapa, as my brother said. Ramesh read the message from his brothers and sisters that said how he was a source of strength and nourishment and like endless enthusiasm for them. I was the first one in my generation of his brother's kids to actually land on the western shores. When I actually landed in the US, I landed with $500 in my pocket. The other international students who actually landed with me were like super worried. None of them even wanted me as a roommate. They were worried about like how are you going to pay the fees? Where are you going to actually like afford the rent? I was cool as a cucumber. I said all I have to do is start an account and give out the routing number and the account number, we'll be set. I was looked at as the coolest kid walking around the campus, and it was the source of the strength that he actually offered. It's not the financial strength here that I actually wanted to talk about. He actually made another generation cool. And he actually like spread his love further and further. I wish he could have lived 1,000 more years and spread that same joy and love and like that influence that I won't say more. I just wanted to say how much he has actually meant to the entire family, and on behalf of our entire family, I am deeply touched by the love of you all showing up here, and I can see how much he meant to all of you, and I'll take those memories with me as I go back and share these with my family. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. My apologies. During my welcome, I omitted to formally welcome the Honourable Senator Cox. My apologies, I didn't see you. I still don't, but thank you very much. You were blocked by Satish's hair. It's Satish's fault. Thank you, Senator, and welcome. Would anybody else like to deliver a tribute? No? Oh, we have some movement. I'm not going to embarrass myself and get people's names wrong because I am known for that. So I'd ask you please to introduce yourselves. Thank you.
Benson Patrice, Senior Agricultural Officer. Papa Rapati. I said to Ramesh, that's a good name for your boat. I would remember it. I kind of applied the art of learning by attaching it to something that is kind of familiar to me. So I remember paparazzi. Okay, so I would remember that. So if you don't name your boat that, maybe I would do. I would name my boat that. I really like that name. Never knew he was called that way. But just a few words on Dr. Ram, as we know him and affectionately know him over the years. He was one of the coolest gentlemen you could have ever dreamt of meeting. We were close. We met both of us lived in Windward, so we met up often. Sometime when I visit his office, that's the doctor's shop, we would have, conversations, not ordinary conversations, stimulating conversations. It was as if he wanted me to learn medicine 101 whenever I visit the office. Because his conversation was really challenging. And to me, he was actually trying to challenge you to see how much you know. And he would try to pull out of you as much knowledge as possible. He was really a teacher. No wonder why Ramesh and Suresh turned out the way they are today. And he was always concerned about his boys, especially Ramesh. When we meet, especially at home, when you look out at Pity Martlick and the sea, he would always say to me, when Ramesh goes out with you guys to race, especially on a Sunday, he would sit there and look at the boat. And his main concern is that Ramesh was in safe hands. He wasn't so much concerned about Suresh. Yes, he was concerned, but not as much as Ramesh, because he saw Ramesh more as the renegade kid. And he was really, really concerned. And those of you who know Ramesh growing up in Windward, he really was he gave us a scare. But as I said to Dr. Rob, one day he will come over. One day. And I'm sure, he lived to see Ramesh turn out the type of boy and type of gentleman that he really wanted him to be. He wasn't concerned about Ramesh drowning. He could have swum, but he was sure that once Ramesh is in safe hands, like yourself, Senator Cox, and Junior McDonald, they were part of my crew, right? And we raced together in the same boat. So Ramesh truly was in safe hands, and he said he was at ease once he was with us. And of course, that goes to show the love and concern he had for Ramesh, and of course, the other boy, Suresh. And we had generally a good relationship, as I said, and every time that we meet, he would try to test my knowledge, how much I know, and I better come up to the plate, because he's going to tell you exactly how it is. He never used to mix words, and he would reproach you openly. He would speak, and he would speak loud. And it's not that he trying to reprimand or chastise you in any way. What he was actually doing is telling you, look, open reproach is better than secret love. So you better take it. It was his way of learning and really teaching you certain values and challenging you to be the best you can. And of course, he lived up to those ideals. He taught his sons such principles, and of course, they made him proud, and they are doctors and whatever in their own rights. And of course, I'm sure that not just Dr. Ram, he's dead now, but the entire family, they are proud of Ramesh and Suresh. We are going to miss Dr. Ram. May his soul rest in peace. All right? Thank you.
Thank you very much. I can see some more movement. Please.
Good afternoon, my beloved Ramesh, Suresh, sister-in-law, daughter-in-law, everything, wife, and all the members of the RAO family who had traveled from distance away to be here, all the lovers of Dr. Ram from Carriacou, Petit Martinique, Grenada who are here, and those who would hear about what is happening here. Almost everything that I had to say verbally was said, but one thing I had to do was not yet done. I would just slightly mention something, and then I'll do something, and then explain why. Dr. Ram was a doctor, he was a father, he was a priest, he was everything to every family in Carriacou. And I can tell you, from my own experience, I could call, or my family, that was my family doctor, we could call on Dr. Ram at any time. And if he cannot come to Harveyville, he says, come to my house. And at any time, my family members, immediate, because I ended up having my own family, my mother, my father, my sister who is overseas, and all the other members of the family, immediate and extended, Dr. Ram was our doctor, and he never refused to see any one of us. And Teacher Bridget, as I called her, and so many of you else called her, was my prayer partner. So the family was very close. And so a lot of what Benson shared, and those who have shared before from his own family, we know the wealth of love that he has for his family, and the grooming and the love that he had for his boys, and even in the spirit he still has them. As Suraj, as Susu teacher as he called him, I had a lot of experience with both the mother and the father. And one day, we were given a task. I had to start teaching food and nutrition with no kitchen in Bishop's College, no utensil, no nothing. And Susu must have spoken to his mommy, and he said to me, Miss Lendo, we could start to bake in Tan Bell kitchen. I say, Tan Bell kitchen? I say, your father won't vex? He said, no. I said, go home and tell them. The next day, Susu take the wheelbarrow, and he go up on the hill by the power station, and he look for a wheelbarrow of wood. And his family supported me to start the domestic science, and Dr. Ram never frowned at his son. And we went down and we started baking and cooking in Tan Bell kitchen. Speaking about Dr. Ram reminds me of Mr. Kenneth Nahaiko, because the two was a pair pushing Carriacou. And so I'm going to play this. Bear with me. I don't want to take the evening. I'm just reminiscing and letting you know what Dr. Ram meant for Grenada, Carriacou, and Petit Martinique, and especially for Carriacou people and for my family.
Awesome.
Those schoolgirl days of telling tales and biting nails are gone. But in my mind, I know they will still live on and on. But how do you thank someone who has taken you from crayons to perfume? It isn't easy, but I'll try. If you wanted the sky,
Thank you very much. Is there anybody else? Senator Cox.
Thank you. Pleasant afternoon to everyone. Let me take this opportunity to recognize the parliamentary representative for Carriacou and Pitimatnik, members of the bereaved family, my friends Suresh, Ramesh, and also the nephews of Dr. Ram. I want to extend my deepest condolences on his passing. I think one of the things I can say about Dr. Ram, his time here, his contribution is really embodied by service, a true service to Carriacou and Pitimatnik. It's not easy to serve everybody, the lone doctor for years, to serve each and every single household that needs medical attention for a number of years. That is a remarkable achievement. You know, sometimes when we put our head down to work, we do not see how much land we clear until we raise it up. And I think that is what really represents Dr. Ram's contribution. He truly, truly served our people, and he did it diligently. I may have been fortunate to be one of the babies that he oversaw delivering at the Princess Royal Hospital. I'm quite certain of that. And so that alone tells you how very much young I am. I recall he used to come at home to look after my grandmother. And he had a way, I think I want to be very diplomatic with my words. He had a way that he was very surgical with his responses. You know, sometimes we in Carriacou, we have our little tradition and how we take care of ourselves. So sometimes persons go to the doctor, and they get the medication, but they go and they still drink their bush and then take the medication. And they come back the following week, and then they say, well, Dr. I would ask them, did you take the medication? No, they drink some bush. And you know, he wouldn't mix words. He would say how it feels. But here what would happen? They would leave the office, mumbling, quarreling, and next week, they're right back. Hey, Dr. So he had that way about him, but he was a very kind and loving person. And not many much persons knew that about him. But he's very solid in terms of giving advice. And hence one of the reasons why we at the New National Party also extends our deepest condolences. He was a stalwart member of the party. I know he gives sound advice and guidance to our party and share that philosophy of what we believe in terms of governance and looking after people. And for that, we really respect him for that. He used to give sound guidance to us in that regard. We really want to give our deepest appreciation and thanks to his family for that. Just about 15 minutes before I left home to come here, somebody called me from the US, you know, and he said, Nolan, I just came from two funerals back to back, you know, and that just gave me a greater appreciation for life. And I said, well, I was at one yesterday and I'm about to head to the next one, you know. So sometimes we take life for granted. So I just want to close by saying we have to be grateful for life, be grateful for our family, be grateful for our friends, because loss through death changes everything. It does not remain the same. So, Suresh, Ramesh, and the nephew, the wife of Suresh, and other members of the family. It's a great opportunity to cherish the bond what you have now, because death changes everything. May his soul rest in peace. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I know this one.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, Minister of Carriacou and Pediatric, Honorable Senator Cox. I guess most of you know me. My name is Pat. I am the mother of this beautiful young lady, Ayana, Shiresh's wife. First of all, I want to say, on behalf of the Alexis family, for those who here and those who far, who cannot make it, they send their sympathy to the family, to the RAO's family. It was quite sad. We were actually, myself and my partner, on a cruise when we get the message that Dr. Ram passed away. So I haven't gone home. I literally just picked up my hand luggage and flew right here, just for a few days. Dr. Ram and Bibi, as she known, Teacher Bridget, I call her Bibi, a very nice, warm, and welcoming couple. Whenever I go to Windward to visit them on my visit here, he will say, Pat, come in, sit down, have a drink. I'll sit, I'll have a drink. Sit on the bed, come on, sit on the bed. I'll sit on the bed. Lie down, look at pillow, lie down. Next thing I lie, I fall asleep. Wake up, a few hours later, what time is it? It's too late, man, just sleep, you can't go down tonight. I end up spending the night. And every time I go, it was very difficult to leave. It started with sit down, then lie down, then I fell asleep, and next thing it was the next day. You know, it was always a pleasure visiting them and spending the time with them. So he will be sadly, sadly missed. I will miss him. Susu, Ramesh, Auntie P, send her love and her sympathy to you guys. And those of my family who cannot make it, they did say to pass on their condolences to the entire family. Thank you all for coming. It's really nice to see so many of you. As someone said, Dr. Ram was the first doctor I actually remember growing up as a kid in Carriacou. He gave me my vaccine when I was traveling back to the UK. And I always remember that down by Amigo Club, I was a very young teenager. And I remember him ever since. I didn't like him at the time because it did hurt, but he turned out to be my daughter's father-in-law, who I love. So thank you all very much, and thank you for coming.
Thank you very much. Just before we move on, I understand that Tanti Lizzie is here, and she's, I think, sitting in the car to my right. I know that under ordinary circumstances, she would have liked to come up here and offer her tribute, but I understand that she's not able to at the moment, and I think she's due to leave. So Tanti Lizzie, just to let you know that we understand and we love you very much. Thank you for coming. Is there anybody else who would like to offer a tribute? Thank you very much. I know this one too. Honourable Minister.
All right, thank you, Senator the Honourable Nolan Cox, Deputy President of the Senate, family of Dr. Ram, and to everyone that's here, pleasant good afternoon. Now, I won't be too long, but to say to Suresh and Ramesh and of course the family, thank you. Thank you for sharing your father and your family, your uncle, your in-law, with the people of Carriacou and Pediatric, and by extension Grenada. And Dr. Ram has made a lot of sacrifice for this island, and certainly has contributed to its development. And I'm sure that everyone in Carriacou and Pediatric has a story about Dr. Ram and how he has helped them in one way or the other. Dr. Ram certainly was not just a doctor, as someone mentioned, but he was several things. And one of the things that I remember him for, although I'm very small, but one of the things I remember him for is that he is, or was, sorry, an excellent strategist. The conversations that Dr. Ram and I had, I wouldn't forget how strategic, political that is. He was a political animal, let's put it that way. Suresh, you may understand more than I do. But certainly that is something that I remember. And I know certainly he will be missed, but I couldn't sit there without coming to see how grateful I am on behalf of the people of Carriacou and Petit Martinique to you for sharing your father's life with us. And now that I have little ones, and knowing how demanding I am how demanding the job as a politician could be, and knowing that Dr. Ram was more than a politician in some instances, I know there's a lot of times that you missed him while he was taking care of the people's business. So thank you for sharing him and making the sacrifice. It was certainly worth it. Have a good day, and thank you.
Thank you very much, Minister.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Troy Augustine. I came here on behalf of my mom. She told me I have to come here because of Dr. Ram. I had some guests. I run a little bit late, but never mind, I'm still here and I'm happy. She said, Troy, Dr. Ram was the first doctor she knew. Anytime her head hurt, she would call Dr. Ram. No matter what he's doing, he's going to be there. She says, Troy, Suzanne is a big daughter. She's here. He delivered Suzanne, her first child. I say, okay. And I could remember visiting his office right over the other side of the street. I can't remember if I went with my mom or I think I was too small to go by myself. But I went with my mom, and if I have to get injection or whatever I have to, he would hold me down and make sure I take what I have to. So I just want to say on behalf of the Augustine family, my dad sends condolences. Couldn't make it, circumstances, but I told him I'll be here to represent the family. So for Suresh and the family, the Augustine family say, hold strong and one love.
Thank you very much. Do we have any more tributes? No? Okay. Just before we move on, I would like to say something very quickly, and actually is on behalf of the Alexis family more generally. As I say, I am Suresh's wife for the last 9 years and a bit. And I first met Dr. Ram, I met Dr. Ram in the capacity as Suresh's then girlfriend and wife about 12 years ago. It wasn't the first time I'd met him, but I very much remember being very nervous because obviously you're with your boyfriend and you're going to you want to meet your boyfriend's parents in a particular way. And Suresh and I think we'd be coming from the beach, and I had on some very short shorts and a little bikini top. And we passed Dr. Ram driving the opposite direction. So of course, Dr. Ram sees his son, he stops. Now I want to believe Dr. Ram saw his son with a girl in the car, and so that's why he really stopped. And so Suresh got out of the car. I stayed in because I'm indecent. And Suresh said, no, 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 come, come, come. And I was like, no, I can't see your father like that. Can't see your father like that. And Suresh insisted. I was so embarrassed. But I soon realized that I needn't be embarrassed because, firstly, as I said, it wasn't the first time I'd met Dr. Ram. Don't be fooled by the accent. I am, in fact, more of a Carriacou than an English person. And both of my parents are here, so they can attest to that. I've been coming to Carriacou since I was about a year old, and I've been hearing about Dr. Ram ever since my ears knew what English words were. I have to say one of Dr. Ram's greatest fans is sitting in the front row, Miss Victoria Alexis, also known as Tanti Toya. And from day one, I've been hearing about the man that is Dr. Ram, the greatest doctor in the world. I've been hearing about how Dr. Ram treated my great-grandfather, Crump. He came out in the middle of the night. This is a story I've heard many, many times. In the middle of the night to help Crump, and he put the injection in Crump's foot, and he's the greatest doctor in the world. Now, I've heard that story more times than I know, and I've heard about how Dr. Ram was the greatest man in the world, to the extent that there's a family joke about how close Tanti Toya and Suresh are, because he is also her favorite. Something Tanti said to me the other day. She said once she'd gone to see Dr. Ram and she had an umbrella. And he commented on her umbrella and he said, oh, I like your umbrella. I like your umbrella, Tanti. And she said, oh, Pato that sent it for me. Pato sent it from England. So Dr. Ram said, oh, ask Pat to send me one. Probably as a joke. We said, ask Pat to send me one. Now, this was maybe 30 years ago. So my mother, Tanti passed on the message. My mother bought the umbrella, she sent it down, and Tanti gave it to Dr. Ram. And Tanti Toya said to me the other day, girl, you ever think Dr. Ram didn't know that you would end up marrying you would end up marrying his child? And it's so true. It never occurred to me, but according to Tanti, I was always supposed to be in the family because she says that Dr. Ram it was like Crump's brother. And certainly from what I have heard, from up until I knew the man properly, he was always a man that was certainly well revered in our family. And having heard what I've heard from you all this afternoon, it's clear that this was a man that was loved by Carriacou and Petit Martinique, perhaps unlike no other. I wasn't planning to speak. What I am going to do now is read to you a poem that Bridget has asked me to read. It's quite long, and I only say that it's long because she, in fact, was reciting this to me by heart. So this is on behalf of Bridget. It's called A Psalm of Life by Henry Wadsworth Longfellow. The subtitle is What the Heart of the Young Man Said to the Psalmist. Tell me not in mortal numbers, life is but an empty dream. For the soul is dead that slumbers, and things are not what they seem. Life is real, life is earnest, and the grave is not its goal. Dust thou art, to dust returnest, was not spoken of the soul. Not enjoyment and not sorrow is our destined end on way, but to act that each tomorrow find in farther than today. Art is long and time is fleeting, and our hearts, though stout and brave, still like muffled drums are beating, funeral marches to the grave. In the world's broad field of battle, in the bivouac of life, be not like dumb-driven cattle, be a hero in the strife. Trust no future, however pleasant, let the dead past bury its dead. Act in the living present, heart within and God overhead. Lives of great men all remind us we can make our lives sublime, and departing leave behind us footprints on the sand of time. Footprints that perhaps another, sailing over life's solemn main, a forlorn and shipwrecked brother, seeing shall take heart again. Let us then be up and doing, with a heart for any fate, still achieving, still pursuing, learn to labor and to wait. Thank you. I'd like to invite now Suresh to read the eulogy.
Good evening, everyone. I know if Daddy had to be here, what he would have said, because we started so late, it wouldn't have been kind, but here we are, and we thank everyone for coming out. Today we celebrate the life of a great man who we will remember for as long as we have breath, as a husband, a father, a brother, a grandfather, an uncle, a friend, and a mentor. Known to everyone as Dr. Ram, he touched every single family in Carriacou in a profound way and leaves behind a legacy of excellence that will long be remembered. No words can properly eulogize him, but I will try to capture the story of his life anyway, in 8 steps. Rama the boy. So Paprapati Krishna Rao Rama Rao was born on the 16th of October 1941. He was the middle child among the 5 sons and 4 daughters of P.S. Krishna Rao and Gengubai. He was a source of great joy, and from his earliest years marked himself out as a pillar of strength and affection for the entire family. A kind, determined, but mischievous boy with good humor. He attended primary and secondary school in Krishnagiri, during which time he would help out at the family business, the Krishnagiri Medical Store, which was the first medical store in the city. The days spent here ignited his interest in medicine, pushed him to want to study it, and uncover the talent that would ultimately become the legacy we are celebrating today. He went on to complete his medical studies at the Tanjavur Medical College, where he excelled and took a wider interest in student leadership. For much of this time, the formative years of the Dr. Ram we have come to know, he lived with his uncle, P.S. Gopal Rao, whom he always spoke of fondly for the impact he had on him. He spent his days there partly studying and partly developing a knack for gambling, a lot, which explains the many nights spent at Uncle Paddy's place and in Leicester, or in any place where there was a domino game to be had. He would often boast of how little he prepared for his exams, because he spent the night playing cards for pocket money, but he still managed to get top marks every time, which is not an easy feat by any means. But his friends also speak of how he was so good that he was able to teach them the harder parts of their medical degrees, working into the late hours before exams, just to make sure everyone passed, sometimes to his own detriment. He was very clearly an intelligent man, without a doubt the most intelligent man I have ever met. He was very fond of learning and encouraged us to be the same. It was apparent from this early that there was no problem that was beyond him, no subject he didn't understand, no issue he didn't have an informed view on, and nothing that was beyond his intellectual reach. If we have inherited an ounce of his genius, we would be extremely happy. And then there was the next stage, the young Dr. Rao. So the young doctor secured his first post at a government hospital in a place called Nagarkoil, Tamil Nadu, where he served patients across very poor and underprivileged communities. Following this, he was posted to the Krishnagiri Government Leprosy Control Unit, a job that no other doctor wanted because of the dangers of leprosy at that time, but a job that he embraced nonetheless, and it had a profound impact on his life and career. At this point, he honed his skill and his manner in visiting remote villages to treat leprosy patients, and he had immense success. His brothers and sisters say they were always surprised by how his patients revered him. Even as such a young man, and simply because of his ability to remedy whatever ailments they had, he was considered close to God by some patients, who with their entire families would come out publicly to thank him for curing them of leprosy when no one would even try. And from these early days, it was clear that he was a special talent, a master diagnostician and a physician of the highest caliber. And then the next phase, he becomes a Caribbean man. So his potential meant that in some ways, even India, as such a big country, was too small for him. He felt very held back by political interference and extremely poor working conditions for doctors at that time. And in 1970, with a small inheritance, a very small inheritance, much to the dismay of his family, he left for the Caribbean with only a job offer in hand. His expanding view of the world and the fact that he was quite a rebel pushed him to want more, to want something different, to want something better, and to position himself to take care of his family at home. And this is how he ended up in Grenada, or at least that is part of the story that I'm willing to tell anyway. And at this point, he becomes Dr. Ram. It is in Grenada that he morphs into the character we know now. He worked for some time in his early days in Maribor and Tivoli, before settling in Carriacou. He was quite a trailblazer for the network of excellent Indian physicians who have served Grenada with distinction over the past 50 years. And it was then, too, that he embraced the role of mentor to those who came into the profession after him. This isn't a very well-known fact, but he was instrumental in setting up the careers of many doctors who have also left their mark on this place and more widely. But he took to Carriacou like a fish to water, embracing the island as if it was his own, and that is exactly why he never left. Carriacou was home, and here he was everything to everyone. He was a one-man multi-clinic. The gynecologist, the obstetrician, the pediatrician, the ophthalmologist, the oncologist. He filled the role of every specialist all by himself, out of a tiny hospital where he was able to do amazing things. There are countless stories of surgeries he did in the middle of the night with barely any tools to save a life just in time. Stories about the countless babies he delivered, the mothers he saved, about his gifted hands as a surgeon, and his ingenuity and creativity in treating his patients, all under conditions where none of that should actually be possible. As a man myself, I don't believe in miracles, because I grew up seeing the amazing things he was able to do as completely normal. Seeing him doing things that would be impossible for most other people, and seeing him go the extra mile for everyone. Like how he arranged cars to light up the Lauriston runway so a plane could land in the middle of the night to take a sick patient away, long before we had night landings. His dedication and openness, his willingness to help others, and his determination was not limited to his practice. For example, it is often forgotten that he was the main man, the main instrumental force behind the establishment of the Top Hill Home for the Aged. His donations of equipment to schools over the years are often forgotten too. But he never did any of it for the fame. He did it out of love for the people of Carriacou and Petit Martinique, and for his tireless and excellent service to the island. He was awarded an MBE in 2005, but no award can really fully capture the impact he has had here. He had a wonderful affection with the practice of medicine and with people. His ability to diagnose tricky cases correctly and treat them effectively is genuinely unmatched. The countless calls from his colleagues to discuss their careers over the years, and from his patients thanking him, and the number of tributes we've received recently from people across the world are great reminders of this. And all through it, he had his next phase, his greatest love. This part is going to be really hard for me. The only greater love in his life was the love for our mother. His wife of 47 years, Bridget, whom he affectionately called Bibi. As with every story in this man's life, his own love story is worthy of a movie. He first encountered Bibi in August 1970. It was a Sunday, and she was just coming back from a trip to St. Vincent while he was chatting to friends by the Windward jetty. He made it clear then and there that she was his one, and they needed to be together. And maybe he was helped by the fact that he was a dashing and handsome man himself. But this very moment was the start of a courtship that turned into marriage in 1978. In 1977, he moved to Barbados, followed by Bridget in 1978. Here, as a new house officer, he was singled out as such a great talent that he was given his own theatre day. Their house in Barbados was a central point for Carriacouans passing through or coming there for medical care, as many here would attest to. It was also the first stop for dignitaries, Indian celebrities like Lata Mangeshkar, who stopped by for tea, the entire traveling Indian cricket team, who came by because of our mother's gift with cooking Indian soul food. Their first son, Ramesh, was born there and was such a bundle of joy that they decided to have another son after moving back to Grenada in 1981. And a few short years later, I came along. For good measure, in 1991, our parents had a third son, Satya, who sadly passed away very shortly after birth. After returning to Grenada, he worked for the government during the revolution and took charge of the eye ward at the General Hospital in St. George's, which meant splitting his time between the islands before fully settling in Carriacou. But at the center of this all was his beloved wife. Nothing was too much for her, and through better and worse, sickness and health, he was at her side every step of the way. Even in his closing days, before he ate, he would ask if Bibi had eaten. Something I would always reflect on with fondness as a mark of a man who considered others first. And then on to the boys. He loved his boys dearly. We are like him in many ways: stubborn, determined, always aiming to be kind, but outspoken and fearless. And we also inherited his rebellious streak, as well as his romance with cigarettes. And anyone who knows him knows he was rarely seen without one. Despite the growing pains we gave him, he was always there for us. Nothing felt out of reach or impossible because Daddy could help us figure it out or just handle it. In his own way, he made sure he was never far away in the good seasons and in the bad seasons. And that includes for Gerald, who he loved very deeply and considered to be one of his very own, and at some points maybe his favorite even. We will cherish the long conversation we shared with him over coffee and a smoke, especially as he entered his mellower years. I can't count the number of cartons of cigarettes we shared, but I'm now happy for it. He was a very proud man, and we knew he was especially proud of all of us and our achievements along the way. This was always evident in how he would light up whenever we discussed what we were up to in our jobs and in our lives. And we were always happy to know that we gave him that sense of reward, the ability to look back and not only take pride in what he achieved, but in what his children were able to achieve. And the summary of the man as a determined and principled human being. He did live a principled life. He was known for saying exactly what he meant and what he wanted to say, regardless of the audience. Where he was vexed, he was less Dr. Ram and more Rambo, as I used to call him. But that was his nature, and that was never going to be changed by anyone. There is the story of the time he challenged Prime Minister Gary at the height of his power to fire him and got Gary to back down and respect his position that we will always remember. Not because of the courage it took to dismiss a prime minister, but because of how he never let go of his principles for anyone. His beliefs and views were always well informed, and he backed himself always. At a point, he was the life of the party too. Some people here might remember that he was the first to have a large screen TV in Carriacou, which he used to show movies and sports on at the doctor's house in Bel Air. He used to hold house parties on the weekends, and back then, if a domino was being played anywhere, he was probably not far away. But he was also a serious man who never suffered fools and never held back on saying something about it. He was never dishonest, and he was completely upright and fair. And this was important to him because his integrity as a man depended on it. And he carried this into his political involvement, as we've heard, as trusted and wise counsel to many of those who have represented the islands over the years. His guiding philosophy, which is not something most of us would have had the privilege to understand, was that it was most important to be kind to everyone and to treat them fairly. Everyone who has spoken to us has noted how kind he was, which probably means he got it right. We can't count the number of patients who he never charged because they couldn't afford it, or who paid him with corn, peas, fish, or other means. He cherished all of them and never looked down on anyone because of their circumstances. As his children, he made sure we were the same, that we treated everyone with respect and kindness. He gave us a life of extreme privilege, but made sure we understood that it was for us to share and not to keep to ourselves. But every great story must have an end. He lived most of his life here, 55 years in fact, and gave his service to the island for 46 of those years, for most of which he was the sole doctor on the island, so everybody's everybody. There are not many people who would hear his name anywhere in the country and not know who he is. His service has touched every single family here, and he will always be remembered as one of the greatest physicians we will ever see, especially according to Tanti. We are extremely proud to know that our father leaves such an incredible legacy and can only wish to be able to emulate it. He had many gifts and very much lived every single one of them, and he did it the right way. He had a great life, We thank him for what he has done for us and the legacy he has left for us. And we thank you all for joining us here today to celebrate that life and for the love, support, and encouragement you have all shown us at this very difficult time. Thank you again.
Thank you, Suresh. I was asked to deliver a closing statement, and Suresh and I debated for a while, what does one say to close such an event? And then when I was driving here, I thought, well, what would Dr. Ram want me to say? Firstly, he would want all of us who are looking sad to smile, to be happy, to remember him and the good times. Secondly, he would want us to eat and drink our bellies full. And to that end, I'd like to invite you all to join us for refreshments in just behind, sorry, it was behind me a moment ago, behind you, so that we can raise a glass to the great man that was Dr. Paparapati Krishna Rao, Rama Rao. Thank you very much for coming this afternoon. You can get up now.
Those schoolgirl days of telling tales and biting nails are gone. But in my mind, I know they will still live on and on. But how do you thank someone who has taken you from crayons to perfume? It isn't easy, but I'll try. If you wanted the sky, I would ride across the sky in letters that would soar 1,000 feet high to serve with love. The time has come for closing books, and long last looks must end. And as I leave, I know that I am leaving my best friend, a friend who taught me right from wrong and weak from strong. That's a lot to learn. What can I give you in return? If you wanted the moon, I would try to make the stars, but I would rather you let me give my heart to serve with
I have been young, now I am old. Never have I seen the righteous forsaken. Bread on the table, roof overhead, Jesus provides for his children.
Jesus will provide every single day. He never fails, he makes a way. Trust in the Lord, don't be afraid. Jehovah Jireh, my help and stay.
The lilies grow, the sparrows are fed. How much more will he care for his people? Seek ye first the kingdom of God, and all things else shall be added.
Jesus will provide every single day. He never fails, he makes a way. Trust in the Lord, don't be afraid. Jehovah Jireh, my help and stay.
Though trials come and the journey is long, the Lord is my strength, he keeps me strong. Morning by morning his mercies I see, great is his faithfulness to me.
Jesus will provide every single day. He never fails, he makes a way. Trust in the Lord, don't be afraid. Jehovah Jireh, my help and stay.
Yes, my God shall supply all my needs according to his riches in glory. Give thanks, for Jesus will provide.
Jesus will provide every single day. He never fails, he makes a way. Trust in the Lord, don't be afraid. Jehovah Jireh, my help